What if one of the most important AI stocks of 2026 isn't actually an AI company? What if the real opportunity is hiding behind one of the biggest problems AI creates? Because every AI model, every cloud application, every business database, and every digital system creates something extremely valuable: data. And when that data is attacked, corrupted, encrypted, or accidentally deleted, companies can lose far more than money. They can lose their entire business. That's where Rubrik comes in. The company operates at the intersection of cybersecurity, cloud data protection, artificial intelligence, and enterprise software. And its stock ticker is RBRK. But here's the question investors need to ask. Is Rubrik stock still worth buying in 2026? Or has the market already discovered this opportunity and pushed the valuation too high? Because underneath the exciting AI story, there is a much more interesting transformation happening inside Rubrik. And if that transformation continues, RBRK could become one of the most important cybersecurity stocks of the decade. But there is also a risk that could seriously hurt investors who buy without understanding the valuation. So let's uncover both sides of the story. 1. What does Rubrik actually do? Imagine a large company with thousands of employees. It has customer records, financial information, employee data, cloud applications, artificial intelligence systems, internal documents, and massive databases. Now imagine all of that data suddenly becomes unavailable. Maybe hackers encrypted it. Maybe an employee accidentally deleted something. Maybe ransomware shut down critical systems. Maybe a cloud failure caused an unexpected disruption. The problem isn't simply losing a few files. For a large enterprise, data can be the foundation of the entire business. Rubrik's mission is to protect that data and help companies recover when something goes wrong. Its platform focuses on data security and resilience across cloud environments, applications, databases, and other enterprise systems. In simple terms, Rubrik wants to make sure that when disaster strikes, businesses can recover. And that is becoming increasingly important, because the amount of digital information businesses create is exploding. 2. Why AI could actually help Rubrik. Here's the twist. Artificial intelligence isn't just creating new software. It's also creating new cybersecurity risks. AI can help companies work faster. But it can also help attackers move faster. AI can generate sophisticated phishing messages. It can automate attacks. It can analyze vulnerabilities. And it can potentially increase the speed and scale of cyber threats. At the same time, businesses are feeding more information into AI systems. That means protecting data becomes even more important. This creates a fascinating relationship between AI and cybersecurity. The more companies depend on digital information, the more important protecting that information becomes. And that could create a long-term tailwind for Rubrik. But Rubrik isn't simply selling traditional backup software. Its strategy is moving towards something much broader: data security, cyber recovery, cloud protection, and increasingly, artificial intelligence. That's where the story gets interesting. 3. Rubrik's bigger opportunity. Traditional backup was often treated like insurance. Companies purchased it because they had to. Nobody got excited about backup software. But the cybersecurity environment has changed that. Today, companies aren't only asking, "Can we back up our data?" They're asking, "Can we detect an attack? Can we prevent sensitive information from being compromised? Can we recover quickly? Can we prove that our data is secure? And can we continue operating after a major cyber attack?" That changes the value proposition. Rubrik wants to become part of a company's cybersecurity strategy. If successful, it could move from being a backup provider to becoming a critical security platform. And that distinction matters, because companies are often willing to spend significantly more on technologies that protect their most important assets. 4. The subscription story. One of the most important things investors should watch with RBRK is recurring revenue. Software companies with recurring revenue can build highly predictable businesses. Instead of selling a product once, they create ongoing customer relationships. Rubrik has been transitioning toward a subscription-based model. That matters because subscription revenue can create better visibility into future sales. It also gives the company opportunities to expand within existing customers. A company might begin by protecting one part of its infrastructure, then expand into additional workloads, more cloud environments, more applications, more users, more data, and more security features. This is exactly the kind of expansion investors want to see from a high-growth cybersecurity company. But there is another signal that could matter even more. Large customers. 5. Why do enterprise customers matter? Cybersecurity isn't a small business problem anymore. Banks need it. Insurance companies need it. Healthcare organizations need it. Manufacturers need it. Government agencies need it. Technology companies need it. And virtually every large organization now depends on cloud infrastructure. That creates a huge potential customer base, but enterprise customers are especially attractive. A large organization may start with one deployment. If the platform works well, the company can expand the relationship. That can increase revenue without Rubrik having to find a completely new customer every time. And switching costs can become important. Once a company's data protection infrastructure is deeply integrated into its operations, replacing the system isn't necessarily easy. That can create customer stickiness, and customer stickiness can create long-term revenue durability. But investors shouldn't become too comfortable, because there is a major problem. Competition. 6. The cybersecurity battlefield. Rubrik isn't operating in an empty market. Cybersecurity is one of the most competitive technology industries in the world. Companies such as Palo Alto Networks, CrowdStrike, Microsoft, Veeam, Cohesity, Commvault and others are fighting for enterprise spending. Some have enormous customer bases. Some have massive research budgets. Some have strong cloud relationships. And some have been in the industry for decades. So Rubrik has to prove something important. Why should customers choose Rubrik? The answer has to be more than simply having good backup technology. Rubrik needs to demonstrate that its combination of data security, cloud protection, cyber recovery and AI provides something meaningfully different. If it can, the opportunity becomes much larger. If it can't, competition could put pressure on growth and margins. And that brings us to the most important question for investors. 7. Is RBRK stock too expensive? This is where things get uncomfortable. A company can be excellent, its market can be enormous, its technology can be impressive, and the stock can still be a bad investment at the wrong price. Growth stocks are particularly sensitive to expectations. If investors expect Rubrik to grow extremely quickly for many years, the stock price can reflect a huge amount of future success. That creates a problem. Suppose Rubrik delivers strong results, but revenue growth comes in slightly below expectations. The market could punish the stock. Why? Because investors don't compare a company only with last year's results. They compare it with what they expected the company to achieve. That's why valuation matters so much with RBRK. You aren't simply buying today's business. You're paying for tomorrow's business. And the more optimistic the market becomes, the less room there is for disappointment. 8. The bull case. Now let's look at the other side. The bull case for Rubrik is powerful. Cyber attacks are becoming more sophisticated. Cloud adoption continues. Enterprise data continues growing. AI increases the value of digital information. And companies increasingly need resilient infrastructure. That means cybersecurity spending could remain structurally strong. Rubrik also has an interesting strategic position. It sits between data management and cybersecurity. That could become increasingly valuable. Imagine a future where companies don't just want antivirus software. They want an intelligent system that understands their data environment, detects suspicious activity, identifies compromised information, and helps restore operations quickly. That's a much bigger opportunity than traditional backup. And AI could make that system increasingly intelligent. If Rubrik executes successfully, investors could eventually view the company less like a backup company and more like a critical cybersecurity platform. That would be a major transformation. 9. The bear case. But let's not ignore the risks. First, competition is intense. Second, cybersecurity customers can be demanding. Third, technology changes quickly. Fourth, growth eventually slows as companies become larger. And fifth, valuation can create significant downside. There is another risk. If Microsoft and other major technology companies bundle more cybersecurity and data protection capabilities into their existing platforms, smaller companies could face pricing pressure. Rubrik therefore needs to keep innovating. It needs to maintain strong customer relationships. And it needs to prove that its platform delivers enough value to justify its cost. If growth disappoints while the valuation remains high, the stock could experience serious volatility. That's why RBRK isn't a stock investors should buy simply because cybersecurity is a hot sector. 10. So, is Rubrik stock worth buying in 2026? Here's my view. Rubrik is one of the more interesting cybersecurity growth stocks to watch in 2026. The company operates in a market with a powerful long-term demand driver. Data is growing. Cloud adoption is growing. AI is growing. And cyber threats aren't disappearing. In fact, the more valuable data becomes, the more valuable data protection becomes. That creates a compelling structural opportunity. But I wouldn't blindly chase RBRK after a major rally. The company needs to continue proving that its growth can translate into durable profitability and expanding cash flow. And investors need to pay attention to valuation. Because the biggest danger isn't necessarily that Rubrik becomes a bad company. The danger is paying too much for a great company. That's the distinction many investors miss. If Rubrik continues expanding its enterprise customer base, increasing recurring revenue, improving profitability, and strengthening its position in AI-driven data security, the long-term story could become extremely compelling. But if growth slows sharply or competition becomes overwhelming, the premium valuation could become a major weakness. So, is RBRK stock still worth buying in 2026? For investors who believe cybersecurity, cloud data protection and AI will become increasingly interconnected, Rubrik deserves a serious place on the watch list. But the smartest approach may be patience. Watch the growth. Watch recurring revenue. Watch free cash flow. Watch customer expansion. And most importantly, watch the valuation, because Rubrik could become a major cybersecurity winner. But the market doesn't reward companies simply for having a great story. It rewards companies that turn that story into sustainable financial results. And that's exactly what investors should be watching next. The most interesting part of the Rubrik story may not be what the company is today. It may be what happens when AI turns data protection from a backup function into an intelligent security system. And if that transformation happens, RBRK could look very different a few years from now. Subscribe to Wall Street Pulse for more analysis of AI stocks, cybersecurity stocks, technology companies, and the growth businesses shaping the next decade. Because sometimes, the biggest investment opportunity isn't hiding in the technology everyone is talking about. It's hiding in the problem that technology creates.